too with what's going on in LA. So, I do have a quick thought for you. My good friend Bobby Frisch texted me today, and he's in kind of the memorabilia. Oh, he's a big fan of it. Do you know what? Take a guess what a simple autograph ticket would cost. For no, just for an autograph for Yadier Molina. If you just sign on a piece of paper, you go to a show, and he signs a piece of paper for you, and he walks out.
Yachting, a couple $100.
$329.
Okay.
And that does not include a picture. You can't take a picture with him. Okay. It's $329. So I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe it's because I have access to these guys. I would never pay a penny for an autograph. But if you had to get an autograph of somebody in the world today, who would it be and what would you pay? Mm-hmm. Or is there anybody you would love to have an autograph from? You're not an autograph person, are you?
No, I'm not. And I'm not but I know for other people, it's really important. I'll give you a very quick story. So we have we're getting ready to, after 25 years, sell our place at Lake of the Ozarks, our little cabin we've shared with longtime friends. And our neighbors down there are just a wonderful couple. He worked at the Ford plant for years and years. And their nephew is Mark Burley, who is, of course, the pitcher for the White Sox.
He's great.
And they're just the most down-to-earth, folks. And my son-in-law was raised by a huge White Sox fan from Joliet, Illinois,
cool.
Southside, just huge, huge, huge. And so our neighbors, and so when we met, when we introduced rather our son-in-law to our lake neighbors, he just was gushing about Mark Burley and what a hero he was in their family and all of these kinds of things. So the next time we went down there, they had some memorabilia in their basement, and they gave him a signed Wheaties box that was a limited edition. They're like, we have a bunch of them. They're down here in the basement. This sounds like it'd mean a lot to you. It, moved both my son-in-law, and then ultimately when he gave it to his dad for Father's Day and said, this is on loan until you die, and then I'm taking this back again, had it framed. It moved both of them to tears because that was so significant, the story of Mark Burley and what he did for the White Sox. So if you have that kind of a connection to something, to a particular player, it is very valuable, whether it's actually like going to make you money as a collector or whether it's just valuable from an emotional connection. I think both are important.
It's a great story. And Mark Burley, by the way, who set a world record for the world's shortest acceptance speech at the Jack Buck Awards, when he simply got to the mic and said, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. So we're all hoping that Mark Burley actually gets into the Baseball Hall of Fame, because that would be the shortest speech in the history of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
And somebody else on the text line at 314, if I met Yadi at the airport tomorrow, I guarantee you he'd give me a picture and an autograph for nothing.
He probably would if you met him, but at this format, I guess they move things along and they have certain guidelines in place that, okay, you don't get the picture. You just get the autograph for $329. So who is the autograph you want out there? 84126.
Yeah, and we're already starting to get some stories to give away that Frank has generously got 4 tickets for the Worldwide Technology race car series, Indy race car event on Sunday night at the Raceway, the Bommarito 500. So if you have a story to tell about your dad, get that to us and you'll get a chance to win those 4 valuable tickets.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to have the opening dialogue. All right, welcome back. Frank and Jill Show, YouTube 550 KTRS TV. Turn it on right now. We need to get some people watching. Okay, thought one. The Hunt family is worth $24 billion. The Chiefs, which they own, are worth over $4 billion. So if they want to improve the stadium, you think maybe they would just pay for it. They could do that. I mean, if Rex Singfield or Dave Stewart wanted to buy a home in Naples, they would pay for it. They would not ask for taxpayers' money. That's how things usually work. Rich people pay for their things. Instead, they want somebody else to pay for it. Do you know what the average household income is in the state of Missouri? $68,000. And the Missouri legislature passed the Show Me Sports Investment Act. So the state could be providing the funding up to 50% for the new construction for the Royals and Chiefs stadiums. And the Cardinals would also benefit. Now, did you see the Chiefs' reaction? While there's still work to be done, this legislation enables the Chiefs to continue exploring potential options to consider remaining in Missouri. You just got half the bill paid. Accept the free freaking money and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I realize the jobs and tax revenues that these sports teams create. I know that. They're so important to the fabric of our state. But come on, you have $24 billion and you've been given half of the cost. And you're still not like saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, we'll take the deal. You're getting an incredible deal. So just say thank you and shut the hell up.
What are your thoughts on the kind of news that came in after the fact a little bit that the Cardinals might be getting some of the support as well? Do you know? I haven't seen a ton of details on that yet. Have you heard anything?
Well, they have some new things they want to add, and part of this would go to them also. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying be more gracious. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Exactly. And in the list of the wealthiest people in our region, Bill DeWitt Sr. is number 2 on the list. And so it's, same thing stands too. I can't remember now. I have to look at it.
Is it Rex or is it
no,
Stewart?
He wasn't even in the top 5, believe it or not.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting. But it's on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126 when we had Mark Maxwell and while you were on vacation. A lot of people, I'd say it was 80-20 saying, come on, why are we giving these guys this money? But 20% of the people brought the point that you raised at the end, which is, hey, it's jobs and we have to think about our image as in the world as well.
By the way, I did tell Mark he is still on the suspended list of potential guest hosts on the show after those derogatory comments. But go ahead. He said, no, I didn't say that. She only played the clip. Earlier I said a lot of nice things. I said, no, you're suspended.
He actually did. In the clip, he said a lot of nice things.
Oh, so that was carefully edited.
No,
gotcha. He worked for some political party?
No, you just were listening with, we'll talk about the negativity bias a little bit later in the dialogue, and you'll see how you were coloring his positive comments with that negativity bias. Hey, tomorrow is Flag Day. Mrs. Kunkel in our music class to show that pride. Of course, Flag Day is celebrated annually on June 14th, which is tomorrow. It commemorates the official adoption of the United States flag by the Continental Congress on June 14th in 1777. It's always been a day to honor and celebrate the flag and its values it represents, such as liberty, freedom, and unity. This week has not been a week where a lot of us have seen a sense or felt a sense of unity. Once again in our country, there's a lot of divisions, particularly along political lines, and that makes us sad for those of us who like to think of ourselves as a united states. It's not a federal holiday, state holiday in a couple of states, but just reminds us of the flag's significance as a symbol of the nation, and a reminder tomorrow, if you have a flag at home, it's a good day to raise it up. I was an old Girl Scout.
Shocking.
I know. It's a real real misfit of
this goody two shoes was a Girl Scout. Does that surprise anybody here?
And
did you ever get in trouble?
Yeah. Remember when I had my incident at the football field?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But we took that flag stuff. Somebody would come and bring either the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts their old flags, and we would have a flag retirement
That's
ceremony. We got a patch for it. And so anytime I hate when I see a business, I know this is going to sound very judgmental, but still I'll be driving and it's a business. It's got a flag up. And if it's in tatters or even not in perfect shape, I think, come on, you guys, like you can do better than that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great music too. Real quickly on Flag Day, we would have, when parents really didn't care about our health, we would have bottle rocket wars. And our next door neighbor was a county prosecutor, and the way he would win the war is that he would put you in such a defenseless position. He would come over and take our flag off our roof and walk back. Imagine your mom and dad allowing you to be in a bottle rocket.
Oh no,
war.
we did it every year. We'd go to the big town park, and then just like the once you got old enough, which I think was like 6th grade, you would go down and we would just shoot bottle rockets directly at each other.
Oh my gosh.
Did people have injuries?
Where were our parents?
Their eyes. Yes, it was bad, but it was also the 70s. It's how things happened.
All right, thought 2. Friday is a great day to talk food. Actually, what day isn't? Here's the question. What is the one topping or sauce you can put on anything and it works? The runaway leader, the secretariat at the Belmont for me, is pesto. Now, Monique grows this sweet basil, and I think the ingredients are walnuts, garlic, a great olive oil from Greece, a great grated cheese, great parm, and then salt and pepper. I put it on eggs today. I put it on toast today. I put it on pasta Wednesday. I put it on top of the steak on Tuesday. It's almost like a blue Sam Cavato suit. It works with everything. Or maybe somebody you're dating who's really engaging and well-versed in a lot of topics, you can take her or him anywhere, But the topping, the sauce that works with everything, not just works, but excels. The only one I would put up there, if it's a really great, perhaps it's from Lester's, the ranch. You can do ranch on a lot of things, salads and chicken wings, vegetables. But I'm telling you, pesto, if it's done right, that's like tops.
Yeah, I love pesto as well. I always grow basil every year, do the same thing, make
Really?
it. And the thing is, you can strip the basil almost down to sticks, and a couple weeks later the leaves come back, and you'll have a few chances to harvest it over the course of the summer. 100%. I used to make it with pine nuts because I think that was the most
That's nice. Yeah.
It's nice, but it's also very expensive. So I have also switched to using walnuts or even pecans sometimes to do it instead.
Nice.
But I do. I'm with you. I'm a big pesto fan as well. In 2020, there were 30 major metropolitan areas in the United States where home buyers could find a luxury home for less than $1 million. 5 years later, the number of metros has shrunk to merely 7, but St. Louis is among them. New report from Redfin Realty shows St. Louis boasts a median luxury sales price of $914,453. So that's
median luxury.
That's
okay.
32% below the national luxury median of 1.35. And in states like California, of course, it's not the luxury median price. It's just the plain old median house price is up to $1 million. But in the rest of the country, it's still a lot of us, including in St. Louis, once you get up there near $1 million, that is considered luxury. And that still seems right to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good. All right. Thought 3 for me, life coaching. See, at Joe Can Talk Sports, I'm not staying in my lane here. After all, I did take one psychology class in college and read The Power of Positive Thinking from Norman Vincent Peale. So Paul Maurice is the coach of the Florida Panthers, who just lost an excruciating, painful game for the Stanley Cup final. Last night, his Panthers blew a 3-0 lead at home and ended up losing 5-4 to the Oilers. Perspective, that's the first time a team blew a 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup at home since 1919. Anyway, Maurice could be the best soundbite in sports, or one of them. And it doesn't hurt he has a voice like James Earl Jones. So he says after the game, and I'm quoting, "You have to take pain, use it, and come back." Now, this is not about sports. Pain nourishes your courage. Somebody once said, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Sometimes it's really tough after a rejection or a loss, but you have to use it almost like a steroid to fire back and succeed. And as in all things in life, it gets back to Rocky Balboa.
Let me tell you something you already know.
of the movies.
Yeah, that is excellent life coaching by you. Thank you very much for that.
Glad I could move into your lane for 45 seconds.
Yeah, and it's pretty unregulated industry, so you could, as you move on, you can just call yourself one, put a shingle out. There's a lot of a lot cheesier advice than that out there in the world, but it is Friday, and I am a master certified life coach, so I'm going to share a little bit too in that life coaching minute. I hear this all the time from clients, incredibly often, including this week as well. Why do we hear several compliments and then smile and promptly forget about them and blow it off, but one piece of negative feedback or criticism, and we cannot stop thinking about it for a day or sometimes days on end? Well, it comes back to this thing that is part of our brain. It's built in, called the negativity bias. Back in ancient times, that bias literally kept our ancestors alive, helping them stay alert to threats and remember what to avoid, steering clear of dangerous animals or risky terrain. It wasn't just smart, it was survival. So the brain held on to these scary or unpleasant memories more tightly than the good ones. Fast forward from today, we're not dodging saber-toothed tigers anymore, but that old wiring, very much still with us, kicks in during things like depositions or big exams, not because we're in danger, but because our brain is trying to protect us, the only way it knows why. That negativity bias isn't some personal failing, it's an ancient survival strategy. But these anxious thoughts feel urgent, they feel true, but it doesn't mean they are. World has changed. We can learn to shift our focus, stay grounded in the present moment, recognize our strengths, our progress, and all the things we're already doing right. You just have to do that at a ratio of 3 positive thoughts to every 1 negative, because that helps neutralize the extra strength of those negative thoughts.
Yeah, never a truer statement has been made about how you can get a review and it could be 3 good things, but you only remember the negative.
Yeah.
That is
yeah,
right on.
Yeah. Sometimes I think my ratio is more like 5 things. I've got to hear 5 things to that 1 in order for it to feel balanced out.
Yeah. Well, with Howard, we'll do 3 negatives and 1 positive.
Yeah, because that's how you like to roll. I'm here to protect Howard. No, he doesn't need that by any means, but he is going to be in for a very interesting conversation because he has traveled to some places in the world where we have not been. So I can't wait to hear about his travels over the last couple of weeks. And you are going to want to hear about our friends at OxyFresh. I had them out to my house. You guys, they did an incredible job on all of the upholstery in the house. I mean, even chairs that I didn't think looked that dirty. Boy, the before and after was very, very noticeable. Same thing with the area rug in our bedroom. But don't take it just from me. These are just a few of the examples of that I'm reading in front of me of customers who have absolutely loved their experience with OxyFresh. Listen to this one from Angie. They had the task of cleaning up 2 20-something-year-old boys' rooms. Boy, every mom can identify with that. After they got their own apartment, they had mystery stains that range from new puppy, you know what, to spilt beer. They did a fantastic job at OxyFresh. The room smells amazing. I never felt embarrassed about the condition of the carpet. 5 stars. And the stories like that just keep coming in. And I can tell you, as a very happy customer myself, you're going to like the experience you have with their top trained technicians. You're going to like what great communicators they are about exactly when you can expect to have them at your house. And you are really, really going to like the results. Oxyfresh.com or 877-OxyFresh. That's 877-OxyFresh.
Howard Richards in the house. We're giving away tickets to the Bomberito 500. Here's a guy that's going to get them definitely. My dad was very good about keeping things quiet. One time they came home early. He and my mother and I had a girl in the bedroom, and he helped me to get her out the window rather than have my mother seeing her coming out the door. He always had my back. I would give this guy 10 tickets. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, forget the guy whose dad is, sick with cancer or any of the other compelling stories.
Hey.
That would be the one you would pick.
If your dad's got your back in something like this, you got to love him.
Was that your story?
If we had a good-looking bus girl at Key Malls, my dad would put me in the 6th room and her in the 1 room to keep me away from her. That's the way he
That I
rolled.
believe.
Yeah. All right, Howard Richards in the house, back from Sydney, Brisbane, Hong Kong, LA, all over the world. This was the trip of a lifetime, right?
It was. And, ironically, when I worked at the agency, my goal was to get to 6 of the 7 continents. The 7th, Antarctica,
The
was
agency, of course, being the
non-starter, CIA.
The
That's right.
agency.
I never say CIA. So finally, I had 3 trips when I was working, 3 trips, bags packed on the way to the airport, canceled. So naturally, it takes, my new family to come through and finally end up in Australia.
How often did you use the CIA line, though, to, pick up girls?
I was married at the time, so
Oh.
no.
I would think
didn't.
that'd be pretty provocative. You're at the
look,
hotel bar at the Ritz. So what do you do? Work for the CIA.
I think it's almost unbelievable because most people, when you meet someone,
Oh,
they've
yeah,
never
sure
met anyone
you
who's
do.
ever.
Sure you do.
Exactly. It's like saying, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend played for the Dallas Cowboys."
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there from 84 to 85. I go, I do a quick roster check. He's not on there.
Yeah.
And I was there then, never heard of the guy. Well, why would he lie? Ask him.
It's amazing you struggled so much with women when you first round draft choice of the Cowboys and CIA. I mean, I would think you would just be, Richard Gere or something.
Well,
Jeez.
and look, he's got an incredibly beautiful fiance.
Yeah, well, he
so-
finally, yeah. I don't know.
It takes a while to get it right. So,
All right. Okay, so coolest thing about, let's go Hong Kong first. What jumped out at you?
I think the modernization, the airport's beautiful. We almost didn't want to leave the airport, but every button and sleek design, it's there. It's got everything. It's huge. I didn't necessarily know where I was, but thank goodness for the signage. But efficient, and I think just looking around, the thing about Hong Kong, I think it has more skyscrapers than any city in the world.
Really?
I mean, everywhere
wow,
you
I would never
look-
think that.
Where you look, you're like looking up. But yeah, it's true.
So you got to also then spend some significant time in Australia, which was kind of the main destination that you guys had chosen for the trip, including Sydney and Brisbane, which are incredibly beautiful cities according to everybody else's reports. Connor and I, because you were gone last week and we mentioned you were in Australia, we did just a little bit of looking up of data, and I was surprised how close to the U.S. landmass Australia is and how few people live there compared to how big their landmass is. 29 million versus 300 million in the U.S. And the landmass is not that far off. It's a big country.
It is. There's a lot of, I guess you might say, wilderness or desert or what do you call it, outback, brush, a lot of open space because most of the population resides along the coastlines. Perth in the west, Sydney, Brisbane on the east and southeast. But it was incredible. Brisbane was, I think, a big surprise, right? I mean, it looked a lot like maybe San Diego, Los Angeles, a lot of places in Southern California. And they have this nature preserve, if you will. So all of the animals that are native to Australia are located on this preserve. So kangaroo, koala, the platypus. You ever seen a platypus in your life?
No, you saw one?
I saw one. Yeah.
Wow.
They were all at this preserve, some of the other exotic birds as well. And it was kind of cool to actually spend time with both the kangaroos and the koala. The koala, I believe, they're not koala bears. They are called koala. They sleep 4 hours out of the day. excuse me, 16 hours out of the day. They're only awake about
I
4
was going to
hours.
say, yeah.
And all they do is just sit there in the tree, jumping from when they're awake, jumping from branch to branch, eating eucalyptus leaves.
Huh. Did you see Rachel Ward? And if so, did she ask about me?
She's gotten a little older.
Yeah.
But she did ask about you. And that's
Sharky's Machine with Burt Reynolds. You're
Great
quite
movie.
a guy, Sharky.
Great movie.
All right. So what about food? Australia, anything good?
No,
Really?
it was pedestrian.
Okay.
It's just like your basic American bar food.
Okay.
No shrimp on the Barbie that blew you away.
We did go to a place in Sydney that was on, I think it's called Bondi Beach. Beautiful. There were surfers, saw a bunch of, school of dolphins, and the food was incredible, as was the beer.
Hong Kong food? Anything great?
We ate just at a restaurant in a mall, believe it or not, just because we didn't have much time. But the options are there. So I think, in another year or two, we're going to go back and spend some time there.
Very cool. How are you finding yourself bouncing back after that significant of travel in that many time zones in the season
you
of
being
life?
kind of an elderly gentleman.
Well, I'm projecting based on my own still balancing back from my trip a month ago.
It took a couple of days. I mean, the flight alone from LA to Sydney was about 14, 15 hours.
Wow.
And you go from the quick jump from Sydney to Brisbane, hour and a half. From Brisbane to Hong Kong, 8. And then from Hong Kong back to Dallas was 14 or 15.
So you were with her for how many days, Francie, your fiance?
8, 9. Actually, I left a day early.
Sometimes in a relatively new relationship, you're just wild about the person. And then all of a sudden you spend 8 or 9 days. Maybe it's not so special. How would you characterize it now?
There was one thing that we discussed. And the few trips that we have done together have all been fantastic.
So you love her more now?
Absolutely.
That's great.
It's been perfect.
All right. I know you're an unbelievable father. You got this incredible daughter. Give me the best aspect about being a father, maybe a great father-daughter moment for you.
I think the biggest thing is when she came to live with me. And the way it went was that her mother was going to remarry, relocate from New Jersey to Florida. And Sid had spent her first 2 years of high school in Cherry Hill, loved her school, wanted to finish school there, was just distraught when her mom said, "We're moving." And so she called me in tears and, just, "What am I going to do? I don't want to leave this school." And I said, here's the deal. You can go to Florida, with your mom and her new husband, and you're not going to know anyone in the school. You're not going to have any relatives. The support aspect of it all is not going to be there. You can come here to St. Louis. You're going to be in a great school. Plus, you have a large family that you've known as you spent summers here throughout the years.
Yeah.
And she decided in less than 24 hours that she was coming here. And I think for her, it was a great decision. I think she loves the fact that she got to know this side of the family,
As an
my side of the
adult,
family.
too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So she's, in fact, she'll be back next week. We have a family wedding, so she's coming back, and she'll get to. And ironically, you know what she said? I need to see the house one more time before you move out. Isn't that something? So she became attached not only to family and community, but to the actual house.
Definitely a daddy's girl.
No doubt.
Quick thought, Sly and the Family Stone. Did you ever meet him, and how much did you love him?
Never met him, but loved Sly and the Family Stone. In fact, I think I posted 2 of his songs on social media on Facebook the other day. Just songs that I grew up listening to in the 60s, and they just became a part of my life and growing up, and just threw me back to a lot of great memories as a child.
Any inside knowledge before we let you go on anybody new that Mizzou's looking at for football players? Any new talent coming in?
There she goes, talking sports again. Gosh, please.
To be perfectly honest, Jill,
You're taking a break.
I take a break from football until probably August. Now it's a little bit different. Been following this. The House case was settled, and now teams have to figure out how they're going to do this revenue sharing. I'm sure that they've been, trying to develop ways to do it, and will everyone do it the same
Yeah.
way? Will there be the same model from school to school? I don't know.
Did you see that one thing where they're going to be back pay? So if you played 2016, can you
16.
imagine? Back then you wouldn't even think about getting paid, and all of a sudden this House ruling, and they're going to have to write you a check.
Golden
That's
parachute,
incredible.
no
Yeah.
doubt. Well, I'm just mad it's not going all the way back to the 80s or 70s, really. Because, but just think, if you 2016, what about the guys in 2015?
Oh yeah, I wonder why they chose
There
that
are
number.
going to be a ton of lawsuits that
Yeah.
challenge this case. So stay tuned.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Laird Beach, we interviewed him out at the Mizzou
Sports.
Boosters Club at
Chicken and pickle.
no, we were at the Bogey Hills Country Club.
Oh, at the golf
At the
tournament.
golf tournament,
Yeah.
and he said, they just wanted the decision to come down so that they could know what they were dealing with, at least with the next step. As you said, it ain't over till it's over with all this stuff, but they were just ready for that decision to come and to be able to try to move forward. It sounds exhausting. His job sounds so exhausting to me in this current climate.
Yeah, at one time I thought I wanted to be athletic
Yeah, that's
director.
right. You were
Yeah,
an assistant AD.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and that, I will tell you this: at the age that I sort of jumped into athletics, most of guys that have and women that have risen to athletic director stages have been at it for virtually a lifetime.
Yeah, it's their life. They love it.
And there's so much to learn. And listen, it's hard to be a great AD, but there's some really good ones out there. But even those that aren't as widely successful, they still, I think, the universities owe them a lot for the direction that they give their individual institutions.
Howard, great to see you. Thanks so much. We're going to shift the topic back to more mainstream things and not going with Jill and sports all the time. When we come back, this is the Frank and Jill Show. Watch us on YouTube, 550 KTRS TV. Great job.
first hour of the Frank and Jill Show. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano. Very glad also to be joined by Jen Yingling. Recognize the last name? You should. She is in the 6th generation in her family, carrying on their great-grandfather's legacy of beer in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. An honor to have you joining us today. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
So what made you decide to go into the family beer business after doing it for so long? Did you think, hey, I want to break out and do something else, or was it just a done deal for you to continue on in the legacy?
No, well, I think first and foremost, my sisters and I, who are 6th generation family members, we were founded by our great-great-great-grandfather back in 1829. He immigrated over from Germany and landed in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And he started this brewery. It was originally known as the Eagle Brewery. So we continue to use that eagle emblem on all of our labels and our point of sale materials. So we've been very fortunate. We've had our ups and downs over the years, certainly with the different world wars and prohibition, which affected all alcohol beverage manufacturers at the time. And we've just been really lucky and withstood the test of time over the years. And here we are today celebrating 196 years of being in business.
Wow, congratulations. And Jen, next time we want to see you in person and bring some product because we're big fans of the beer. Anyway, how does Flight fit into the lineup?
Yeah, well, Flight is a great addition to our lineup, and we launched it 5 years ago, back in 2020. And we refer to it as our next generation of light beer. So it's brewed for folks with active on-the-go lifestyles who still want that great beer flavor. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it's low carb at 2.6 grams, comes in at 95 calories, and it's at a 4.2 alcohol by volume. So it's a great light beer without compromise, and it's really a big hit with people who want to enjoy life without slowing down, and fits great into our portfolio.
What's the connection between Flight and the golf community?
Yeah, that's a great question. First off, golf and beer simply they really go together, right? And Flight's the perfect golf companion. It's light, it's sessionable, doesn't weigh you down over 18 holes. And we started to see how much golfers loved it and felt like it was a natural fit. And that's why this partnership is so exciting. Missouri, I'm sure, has some absolutely stunning courses, and we're just thrilled to be celebrating them here with you folks at KTRS and the Frank and Jill Show.
And what about the summer? Do you have anything planned with Yingling, a new product possibly?
Well, what we have planned for the summer is our Stars and Stripes program, which is it's our way to give back to our nation's heroes and veterans. And what we do with that is we partner with Team Red, White, and Blue, who's a nonprofit, and they really emphasize health and wellness for veterans and the community as a whole. So we have special limited edition packaging, which you see on our traditional lager, 12-ounce cans on the outside packaging and then also on the can itself. And what this does is really help raise awareness and support for Team Red, White, and Blue. They do such incredible work to enrich veterans' lives, and it's part of a monetary donation as well.
So Frank and I were talking a little bit earlier, and Yingling is very popular with our kids and our kids' friends in their 20s as well. What do you think has been the appeal and draw for this newer generation of beer drinkers to this very old and established brand?
I think, well, for the Flight brand in particular, I think that's where consumers are trending to more health awareness beers, and I think really Flight, with the upscale stats that it has, it really hits that numbers, and it's it hits that mark of being able to resonate with consumers and being a very sessionable beer. And it also fits in really well with our portfolio, along with our flagship lager brand, along with our light lager and our golden pilsner and black and tan.
We appreciate your time. Continued success at Yingling. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right. A couple things. If you've won the tickets, you have to get to KTRS before 4 o'clock. And there's one other person who won it, who also had a great one. I'm going to give away 4 more. It's the story about your dad taking you a game to see your favorite player, Joe Torre. So you have to get to KTRS in Westport before 4 o'clock. You also have to log into YouTube 550 KTRS TV So see us on television. We'll take a short time out. We'll talk in movies and shows with Lynn Venthouse when we come back.
Hey, can people see your shorts if they stick around and watch us on TV a little bit
Shorts, what are
longer?
you talking about?
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can
YouTube 550 KTRS TV. Frank and Jill on the Frank and Jill Show. Lynn, great to be with you. Much to discuss. First of all, I want to hit a series that I'm watching right now. The Better Sister, Jessica Biel, Elizabeth Banks. I'd say it's about an 8. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually 2 episodes in, but I like it. Have you seen it? What are the reviews?
I haven't seen it yet, but you're the third person that has told me in the past a couple days to watch it. So now it's on my list. It's Jessica Biel and who else?
Elizabeth
who
Banks.
else is in it?
Yes, Elizabeth Banks, who's probably good in everything.
Oh, yes, she is. She's in by the way, since Brian Wilson died, there's this great movie called Love and Mercy.
Oh, that's
and
right.
she is in that.
Yeah, she is. Hey, we are live on YouTube, as you may have heard earlier this week, Lynn. It's been lots of fun. We just got a comment from Brian M. A question on our YouTube channel for you is, what do you think about the new Owen Wilson show on Apple TV, Stick?
I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a really nice blend of comedy and sincerity. And it's got, Owen Wilson and Judy Greer and Mark Maron and the kid that's playing the Phenom. He's very good. And so is the woman playing his mom. I really am enjoying it. I don't know about you two, but what do you think?
I have not seen it yet, but gotten great reviews from a couple of my golf-loving friends.
And I'm
Yes,
one episode
and
in.
it's like Ted Lasso. You do not have to be a golf player or a golf enthusiast to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm one episode in, and I think with most series, I got to give them 2 before I make my total determination and whether it really captures me. I think maybe my expectations were a little high because people talked about a Ted Lasso comparison, and so far I'm not getting hooked by I don't think it's quite as good as Ted Lasso, but it could get a lot better.
All right, the one movie.
I don't think it's that level.
The one movie
But
you
I
need to.
do think it has merit.
Oh, excuse me. So the one movie that if people want to go to the theaters this weekend, you recommend they should go see this.
Yes, Materialist. Surprise, surprise. It's the non-rom-com for people who are wary of rom-coms, if that makes sense. This is quite a sharply written, insightful film about modern dating. And is it a business transaction as it always has been, or does romantic fantasy still count? And it's really interesting. Dakota Johnson, who I normally do not like, after all, she did win the Razzie last year for Madam Web. She's actually very good as this matchmaker at this high-end dating agency, and she is like their MVP because she's had 9 weddings happen with her clients. And she talks about checking all the boxes, and then it shows these people with their unrealistic expectations, and it is in Manhattan, so there's a lot of money involved here. Like, women want a guy with a hairline, with height, and with over 500K income. And men want somebody that has no BMI over 20, and they want somebody who's not older than 29. So we're talking pretty much rigid requirements. And Dakota Johnson's ex-boyfriend is Chris Evans, Mr. Captain America, and he is this scruffy actor wannabe who works for a cater waiter, and they lived together, and they had a relationship for 5 years, and then they've gone their separate ways because they were very broke and unhappy. And then she meets Pedro Pascal at a wedding. He's the groom's brother, and he is a private equity manager. He lives in a $12 million penthouse. He's very suave, very smooth. He likes her because of her, quote, intangible assets. And so this is where we are in modern America. It's about dating. It's about swiping left or right. It is about connection versus, the laundry list of things that you want in a mate.
Okay, and you did not love The Life of Chuck nearly as much.
Oh no. From what I heard two things. I heard it was going to be life affirming and sweet and sentimental and joyful. And there are parts of it that are, but it's really a storytelling mess. It is from a Stephen King novella during the pandemic 2020, and it is about the value in each of us as a part of the universe. And that's lofty goals, sure, but it's told in reverse chronological order. So the older Chuck is Tom Hiddleston, and he has a one big dance scene, and that's about it. You don't see him very much. But the first scene is about an impending apocalypse, and it's a head scratcher because you're like, what's going on? So you don't see Chuck till the second act. And then the third, then he's younger. He's a younger boy, and then an older boy played by the wonderful child actor Jacob Tremblay, who's all grown up, tall, and a teenager. And anyway, I was very disappointed, and I wanted more. All the people in it are outstanding, but they're not in it enough. There's not enough for them to do, and the story is very puzzling. Mark Hamill plays the grandpa. And but it's just I would be anxious to hear from people because I know critics who saw it at the Toronto Film Festival in November, and they didn't get it. They were like, we don't understand the big deal about this. They're really pushing it. So I don't know if it's a mass marketing push, like, oh, this is going to make you feel good. When I thought it's really kind of a downer.
A couple things. I just watched Paradise, thought it was spectacular. Sterling K. Brown was really good. So this is a two-part question. In terms of the Emmy for Best Actor, is it going to come down to Sterling K. Brown, Paradise, Your Friends and Neighbors, John Hamm, and Landman with Billy Bob? Will it come down to those? And who do you think will win?
I think Noah Wiley in The Pit.
Oh, none of the above. I like it. And what about sequels for Paradise, Your Friends and Neighbors, and Landman? Are they all happening for sure?
Well, Landman is happening, and so is Paradise. In fact, they're working on season 2. If you Google, there's a really nice, because they're really pushing it for the Emmys. I think James Marsden is going to get a nomination as the president for supporting actor, don't you?
Oh, I think, yeah, he's awesome. Yep.
That was probably one of the best things I've ever seen him in. And it's just fantastic. But they're really pushing that. But yeah, that is a for sure. It's going to start January of 2026, and Landman, I'm not sure what it starts. I don't think Your Friends and Neighbors has been renewed yet, but I think it was so popular that it has to, because the 4 seasons got renewed pretty quick. So
really,
we'll see.
Huh.
But I do think those are just, if you catch up in the summer with shows you missed, that's for sure. And I think you both would like this one on Netflix called Department Q with Matthew Good, like you've never seen him before. He was so terrific as Bob Evans in The Offer. And Frank, you and I have talked about The Offer. It's about the making of The Godfather, and it's on Paramount Plus. It's one of the top 5 things I've seen in the last 5 years.
You are so right.
So good.
If people don't know about
he's very different here. He's also in Downton Abbey, but he plays this grizzled, cynical detective, and he's had some trauma, and he's on the cold cases. So they've relegated him to I think they think they're getting rid of him, and he's just this ace detective, and it's set in Scotland. So there's all these quirky people. So I give it a little vibe about Slow Horses. But it's just, if you are a fan of Matthew Good, and if you are a fan of true crime and mystery, I think you'll really like this. And it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I am a fan of Matthew Good. I loved him in Downton Abbey. I didn't know this until yesterday. Maybe you guys already did, that the person who plays the kind of nerdy doctor, the student doctor in The Pit, the young woman who plays Dr. Melissa King, is actually the daughter of Bryan Cranston. So it's always kind of fun to have those connections. Cool. Hey, Lynn, before we let you go, what's going on at Miller Furniture this weekend?
Well, Miller Furniture is doing these special high-tech things. Like they have, if you don't know what kind of wood you want it for your dining room table, like an Amish table, you can pick a panel of the wood styles they have and then go to their computer and they will show you a 3D visualization of how this table is going to look in your home. They can imagine your living room, your dining room, whatever you want. You can arrange that, and then you get the home of your dreams. Let's put it like that. So Miller is just doing all these wonderful things to make your life better. Convenient service, the best customer service. So check them out in Ellisville, Lake St. Louis, Belleville, and Fairview Heights, and you'll just get incredible service. So that's my goal for Miller Furniture, to get everybody on this bandwagon. Plus, they give human service too, not just the computer visualization. And before I go, there's a guy from St. Louis named Davis Guggenheim. He is a documentary filmmaker. He won the Oscar for the climate change movie, An Inconvenient Truth. He's made they call me Malala.
Yeah.
Waiting for Superman. All these great documentaries. He's done one now called Deaf President Now. And this is a fascinating documentary on Apple TV Plus. It is about the deaf students protesting in 1988 that the Board of Trustees hired a hearing person as the school president. And the 4 students that led this movement, it was a week-long movement because they had 2 deaf strong candidates for president. And the Board of Trustees president actually said to them, this is unbelievable. She said, I got to find this, that deaf people are not ready to function in a hearing world.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
I know. So
I
that
can't wait to
set
see
off
it.
a thing about deaf rights, because they did finally get a deaf president. Gallaudet University is the only deaf university in the country. So their fight, this week-long fight, also sparked things about disability rights and people being heard. And it's really interesting because it's deaf people wanting their voices heard.
Good stuff, Lynn. We'll talk next week. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you. You all have a good weekend.
All right. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
Frank Cusimano, hopefully not working too much today because it is supposed to be your day off TV.
I got 2 shoots today, 2 shoots tomorrow, but I'm not complaining.
Okay. Only Monique is.
Yes.
Because she enjoys her time with you. Are you going to squeeze any golf in this weekend at all?
We're going to try, weather permitting, like Sunday morning before I got to go in.
So you're not afraid to just jump out there, even if you can only play a hole or two. It's always worth it.
Oh, yeah. I don't care about the rain or, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Don't get struck by lightning, but rain, I'm not going to let it melt you. Song of the day is something that we chose specifically for Father's Day weekend.
If I could get
Time with your dad. If he's still around, please do so, or at least reach out and say thanks if you're appreciative for what he gave you in your life. And if he's not here anymore, it's a good weekend to remember the impact.
I thought it was either Jeffrey Osborne or Luther Vandross, and they're both sensational. Yeah, that's really just a beautiful, beautiful song.
It is. I think it's I've had more than one friend whose kid chose to use that as a father-daughter dance at the wedding. It can be a
I
very
imagine that would be perfect.
nice one. Did you have a chance to catch any of Donnybrook last night?
I did not.
It was a good spirited discussion about a variety of topics, including a lot of things we've talked about on the show this week, including what, if any, how much we really need to be putting into the America Center downtown and the state, and particularly the Dome, since we don't have a NFL team anymore, and that was what it was built for. But it's also, the news is not good in terms of the upkeep and problems with things like the escalators.
But they're putting $50 million in. Is that correct?
$50 million of earmarked funds that were coming from the Rams directly to them. So it's not coming from the city's pot. It's from a different pot, as I understand it. And Bill McClellan is not in favor of putting a ton of money into that. And he had kind of a funny way of explaining his way of thinking about all of it.
It's like when people talk about the best 2 days of a boat owner's life, the day he buys it and the day he sells it. I feel like the Dome has been a boat. It's like we bought ourselves a 35-foot yacht, and it was supposed to be originally big enough to compete with the big guys, but really it's just in the Lake of the Ozarks, and it can't go on the ocean, and we use it 2-3 times a year, and this money it's always in the marina being fixed up, and now we're going to give it another.
So
$50
I
million.
thought it was a kind of a fun metaphor. Joe Holloman was definitely on Team Bill on this, but Sarah Fensky came in, pointing out that we need to get a more robust convention business in St. Louis to be able to support downtown hotels and all those things. And if the whole package of the Dome, which goes with the convention business side of things, we can attract sometimes some of the big stadium tours that are happening for musical artists, like the Taylor Swifts and the big ones. It really is time for us to think about what are we doing there. What are your thoughts on that? Are we throwing good money after bad there?
Well, look, they're not going to build a new one. We're not going to. So I think you got to improve what you got to have those conventions. At one time, the convention business in St. Louis was insanely good. And it's not as bad as people think. They're still doing some good things. So I think, you and I walk in that Dome, it needs work. And if you can make it a little better to keep generating revenue for the city, I would do it.
Yeah, I have had some relatives and friends in town over the last couple of years for volleyball tournaments. And our friends at the Sports Commission said that's one of the number one sources of sports revenue in St. Louis right now are these huge volleyball tournaments. And I asked my friend, I said, give me the honest truth, who was here from Dallas. How do we stack up to other cities? And she said, the restaurants, our time in St. Louis, the things that we did for fun were great. The Foundry, they were extremely impressed with that. The Arch, all those things, Ballpark Village. But she said the actual facility was lacking. The bathrooms weren't in great shape. It just was, all the escalators were non-functional. It wasn't great.
In terms of football, they have improved the turf. They've improved the lighting. But still, it feels old, as opposed to Enterprise, where you just can't believe it's 31 years old because you walk in and it feels brand spanking new. And that's because the Blues, Chris Zimmerman in particular, has made sure that thing has done all the nips and tucks that you need to make it special.
Well, and let's talk about Enterprise Center because we're lucky enough to have Carl, the intern. Carl Milliman is producing for us today because Connor is doing all the other shows because Josh and Max are
He
out
looks
today.
a little bit old to be an intern, by the way.
Yes.
Looks like he's like 24, 25.
Thank you.
I did
Yes.
not guess you were as close to my age as you were, though. I told you I thought you were much younger than
I
me.
appreciate that as
And
well.
we would have been in high school at the same time we figured out. But you spend a lot of time at Enterprise. For folks who don't know this before, you have another one of the many jobs you have is doing what for the Blues?
I play the music and blow the goal horn at every single Blues game.
Well, and how long have you done that for?
Since 1996, after Wayne Gretzky left.
Wow. So every game for
Every game. I've only missed 8 games since then.
And why did you miss those 8 games?
One, my appendix burst. 2,
We'll give it
legit.
to you.
Yeah. Okay.
and 2 of them were for weddings that I had been in the bridal party before I had gotten the job.
Boy, so how many would that be? I mean,
A lot. Well, you do 44 a year
And we're talking how many years again?
since 1996.
Wow. That is
and then
impressive.
there were also, one was a half year because they had the strike, and then 1 year was entirely wiped out. So yeah, it's coming up on my 30th season with the Blues.
Wow. Congratulations. That is awesome.
And we're this is a kind of a anniversary year, I guess, for the Blues winning the Stanley Cup in that was
This is the anniversary
6
day, or yesterday was the
yesterday
anniversary
was the
day.
anniversary
Of the
day, I
parade.
mean,
Yeah.
from 6 years ago. Am I doing the math
2019.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
2019.
And so that experience must have been
It was
crazy
It was
for
a
you.
fantastic day. I was, of course, I did not travel with the team. I went to one Winnipeg away game, but then after the Dallas series, we did every single away game at Enterprise Center, and my feed was 7 seconds ahead of everybody that was in the bowl, so I knew when the goals were coming. And so you could just tell everything was going on. And as soon as they scored, I pressed the goal horn, and the place just went insane.
Wow. That's weird when you're doing that, when it's like 7 or 8 seconds.
Right.
Like sometimes in your own house, a TV will be on a different than the other one.
Exactly.
And I've done this with my kids all the time. If they're watching a football game in the other room, I go in there. I think Manny's going to throw a bomb here. And I just seen it 6 seconds. Dad, how did you know that? I did it like 3 times. It's like,
Or we'll do the thing where we cheer really loud in the other room and the kids are watching on a 5-second delay.
delay.
And they're like, please don't cheer until it has happened.
Oh yeah, the control room got mad at me because I said, "Here we go," and they're like, "Stop doing that," because they wanted to experience it like everyone else.
Couple things. We want to thank the Post-Dispatch for talking about the Andy Van Slyke Show, which airs on the Big 550 KTRS every Monday at 6 o'clock. They just did a nice thing about how candid he is, and we're thrilled to have him on these airways because I think of everybody talking about baseball in St. Louis, he's the single best. 1, he's really smart. 2, he's got this incredible resume as a player. And 3, he's not afraid to criticize and tell it like it is. So we appreciate Dan Caesar saying some nice things about Andy Van Slyke.
Some good things on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. Somebody's saying that the Luther Vandross song written by Richard Marx, and somebody else saying that do we really need to do anything with the dome? Can't the convention center next door be updated to use what they need? And we need to implode the dome like
you
it
mean
did in
just
Las
make
Vegas.
it, and don't worry about the athletic part of it.
Yeah, but if you have, I mean, we've definitely had conventions that had 50,000 people.
Yeah.
So you have to have a place to assemble the people, whether it's a big church convention or, whatever sales convention. It's one of the real biggies, which is what we're always trying to attract, to bring all those people in for the hotel rooms, the meals, the things that benefit our economy. You do need a place to gather them.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, and Kitty Radcliffe used to tell me this, that in one way, the Rams leaving allowed the city to generate more revenue because big conventions would generate more revenue than the 8 Rams home games. And you also, because of the scheduling, you can't book a lot of conventions because you don't know when the schedule is going to happen. So, I mean, is it better for our city not to have an NFL team? No, but there's one aspect where it's actually positive.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to hear what you have to say about Coach Critchley of City FC after this break, because I heard him last night on your air with Corey. He seems to be a bigger soundbite machine for sure than his predecessor, but I want to hear your thoughts
Slightly.
on that as well. Before we let you go, though, Capital Advisory Group, talk about winners. Jeff Zufall and his team at Capital Advisory Group are just really, really good at doing two aspects of managing your money. The wealth management side, where they help you ride the ups and downs in the market in a way that makes you feel a little less scared than people who are trying to go it on their own and just feel stressed out by every move or whim that the stock market has been taking in the last several months. Jeff and his team will be able to come up with a solid strategy wherever you are on the retirement spectrum, just getting ready to, already in retirement, or it's still a few years off. He can help you have a strategy that will ride those ups and downs and keep the most money for you. The other side of it, tax-informed investing, which means Jeff is excellent at making sure that you keep what's yours. He's written the #1 bestseller on the subject. He has a show every weekend with our own Josh Gilbert here on KTRS, the Big 550, the talk of St. Louis on this subject. And he's just here to help all of us make sure that our money is working for us. Reach out to Jeff and his team today. Set up your appointment and have your money working for you in 2025. 636-394-5524 or capitaladvisorygrp.com.
And now, Kate.
the intern. Hey, if you're looking for something to do this weekend that is going to make a big difference in the lives of some of our friends and neighbors who have been severely impacted by the incredible tornado that hit our area back on May 16th, all you have to do is run to the grocery store, run to Target, run to Walmart, or go into your own pantry or your stockpile at home, put together some non-perishable food items and cleaning supplies and everything that you think you might need if your house has been destroyed and your life has been turned upside down by a tornado. All you have to do is drive over to Chaminade School and drive through, drop it off. And that's because KTRS has partnered with our friends at the St. Louis Area Food Bank and the Jason Tatum Foundation and First Alert 4. We did this a couple weeks ago. It was so successful. 52,000 pounds of food got to our friends and neighbors who need it most. We're doing it again on Saturday, 9 to 2. All you have to do is load up your car, bring it to Chaminade. Somebody will unload it for you, and you'll know you've done something very good for the weekend.
All right, so this weekend is Father's Day, and I wish a happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And a quick word about the best dad in the world, Frank Sr. You know, your dad is kind of like your height. You don't have a choice. You either get lucky or you don't. My dad was the smartest guy I knew. He had the ability in the middle of an incredibly busy night at Kemal's to take this kind of call from his unprepared 15-year-old youngest son. Dad, I need to write a composition on Martin Luther King. When is it due? Tomorrow. And then he would flawlessly deliver an introductory paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and a concluding one. Even-tempered? How about this? He had 100 employees, 6 rowdy kids, and I promise you, I never, ever, ever heard him say a curse word. Compassion? One Saturday night, I was washing glasses at the bar, 300 people at Kemal's on Grand Avenue. And in the old days, they all dressed up. A 21-year-old basketball player from St. Louis University walked in. He dressed like a 21-year-old basketball player did, jeans and a T-shirt. I watched the whole thing. I'll never forget it. He says to our hostess, Rose, "Where's Big Frank?" She says, "Well, he's very busy in the back." "Well, tell him that David Burns is here." He was a star player for the Billikens back then. My dad came from the back, greeted him like a prodigal son, fed him, hugged him, and made him feel good. I just thought that is really cool. A sports father. He sat at the top at DeSmet and UMSL, never said a word about a coach, a player, or a ref. And after every good game, he would relive every good moment I had. After a bad game, let's work on that paper together, Frank. But by far, the best thing he ever did was love his wife. My mom was great, but she could get really feisty. Who wouldn't with 6 rowdy kids? He never raised his voice to her, ever. He never left for work without a kiss on her cheek. He called her Mamacita. And his most famous line was, "This marriage was made in heaven, and that's where it will end." And finally, what I thought was the coolest thing. I never walked into a room from age 5 to 22 where he was already there, where I didn't get a warm greeting from him. And I used to think to myself, why is he always so happy to see me? I mean, I did a crappy job on the weeding. I got a C+ in mechanical drawing. I was mean to my sister Laura. But then decades later, when I started having kids, I didn't wonder anymore. I just feel the same way. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Jill show today. That was from the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. Frank, what a beautiful presentation about your dad. What a beautiful tribute. Happy Father's Day to Frank and Carl. Your kids expressed on your birthday they feel pretty lucky in the father department as well. I was very lucky in the dad department. And my dad was one of those people that lived his life serving other people, continues to do so. He's had
As a pastor, for people who don't know.
Yeah, and he's still, there's a shortage of pastors, and so he's still needed in a part-time position, and he's continued to answer that call. He has unfortunately had some pretty big health challenges related to his heart, and we got the news this morning. He's back in the hospital again today. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's got a good attitude, helping him support my mom during her own stuff. So I'm very grateful for him. I know in this time of my life, I cannot take for granted that he's still around on Father's Day, and as sharp as a tack, always good for a good conversation, stays on top of the world's events and tries to have an open perspective on it. I'm very, very lucky. I have a great father-in-law as well. Also an incredibly smart guy, lots of fun, and I won that lottery. And then, of course, I married somebody who has been an incredible father to our children. So
Nice.
Really full of appreciation, as you expressed, for your own dad as well.
Too, the fact that your father has spent his life trying to bring people to the Lord as a pastor. I always wondered why Catholics, and I grew up a Catholic before I started going to a Christian church about, 30 years ago.
Well, of course, Catholics are Christian, but a different kind of.
Yeah. Why they do not allow priests to be married. I mean, your dad as a pastor and a father and a husband, when he's meeting one-on-one with potential, fathers, he can give great insight because he's gone through it. Like when I was married, I was a Catholic, and we went to this thing where you have to go away, like a retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And the priest was trying to relate to these potential couples and, talk about conflict and all this. And, God bless priests, and I love them to death, and some of them are good friends. But I just think that, your dad having a life like that allows him to have great insight and compassion and can really relate to young men, in a church more so than a Catholic priest. And I know I don't want to condemn Catholic priests because they're great, but that's just the way I've always
it's a
felt.
centuries-old tradition, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. But, I think that's why there are many different options for people. Some people will be better served by that, by one clergy person and somebody else another. But yeah, I mean, for as much education, my dad has as much education, more than a lawyer, right? And they're paid nothing for the work that they do.
So your dad went to school for how many years?
4 years of undergraduate college, and then an additional 4 years after that.
Wow.
So 8 years by the time you get through seminary.
Yeah.
Same thing with most priests, and it depends on your denomination, but that's generally the route.
All right. Someone just brought up, by the way, just remember the number one cause of divorce is marriage. All right. Let's welcome to the program a new sponsor. And we're excited about this because his name is Bob Timmerman, and it's Park North Golf Club. And it's really kind of a new concept in St. Louis. Not truly a golf course, but they have 40 TrackMan technology golf bays and an 18-hole championship putting course. Bob, good to be with you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Bob, we've got a little bit of technological challenge.
I'm going to call him back.
So we'll call you back in just a second, but we'll fill you in
Kind of a Star Wars feel to Bob's voice. I thought it was kind of cool.
While I'm calling him back, let's play this.
From the clubhouse to the
back yet? We are waiting.
Hi, Bob.
Bob?
Hello.
Okay,
Oh,
Bob,
you
great
sound
to hear your
great.
voice. All right, tell me, this is a whole new concept for St. Louis. Tell our listening audience a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, Park North Golf Club is going to be opening here to the public on July 12th is our grand opening. It's in Edwardsville, Illinois. in a new development that is just adjacent to the Plummer Park, which is a big park inside of Edwardsville that has baseball fields and pickleball courts and so forth. So the complex in and of itself has 3 venues for entertainment. We have a 40-bay driving range. Every bay is equipped with TrackMan technology. And then we also have an 18-hole championship putting course that allows golfers of any skill level to go out and play a round of golf with their putter. So they don't have to bring any other club. So something that everybody can do. And then we also have a restaurant and sports bar that is connected to the complex, but somewhat separate. And so we have a 125-seat sports bar that has a large covered patio that connects to the driving range. So 3 separate venues that provides, family entertainment for all.
We're just talking about the new Park North Golf Club getting ready to open over in Edwardsville, Illinois, which is a lot of entertainment, great food there, all relates to golf. Do you recommend that people have reservations to be able to use the golf bays, or is it a walk-in situation where you can just come over and visit you guys and start playing?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly walk in. That will be a possibility. I think to be ensured that you have a bay, the best bet would be to go online and reserve a bay prior to getting there. But you will be able to walk in as well. I suspect that we're going to be pretty busy right out of the gate, so reservations would probably be warranted. As far as the links, which is our 18-hole championship course, it's really just first come, first serve. And it's, one price, and you'll get a wristband and you can play all day long. You can leave and come back and, play another round. So it's an all day event that you can enjoy. And, for people that are at the park, for example, maybe watching their kids play baseball, they want to come over, they could play a round of golf, go back, play another game and come back. So.
All right, Bob, you got to tell our listening audience about the TrackMan technology, which is absolutely amazing, what it allows you to do and find out and discover about your swing.
Yeah, so there's like 4 settings inside of the TrackMan technology. So there's the practice setting, and then inside of that, it will measure your swing speed. It'll, show you your distance. It just really from someone that's trying to perfect their game, there's all kinds of features that allow you to assess and analyze how you're doing. There's also a component to it that says my bag. And so for someone that's going to be out there regularly, they can set up on their phone, they can get, set up the TrackMan app, and they can set up their own bag. So when they're practicing, they're able to keep track of all of their statistics. So if they're working on their 7-iron, what is their distance been averaging? And so they can keep track of all of that. So that's just one component for any golfer that's trying to, perfect their game. And we were out there yesterday testing the system, and, our golf pro, RC Martin, had a perfect swing, and ball went, the flight of the ball, it tracked the loft and everything. And then somebody else got up and hit a dribbler. And it's amazing how it catches everything. Yeah. So the ball that just rolled off the mat was tracked just as well as, RC's beautiful shot.
Hit a dribbler.
There's also,
you just totally defined my entire golf game. That was it right there. That's me.
Well, you'll also be able to come out and you can play. I think there's close to 150 different courses.
Wow.
That TrackMan has. And then now we won't have all 150, but it'll rotate. But, for example, the U.S. Open's going on this weekend. Our hope next year this time is that when the U.S. Open comes, people can come to, our facility and we can play the U.S. Open at Park North Golf in Edwardsville, Illinois. So everybody could enjoy that same experience virtually,
Bob,
playing a championship golf course.
Bob, great stuff. We really appreciate continued success at Park North Golf Club in Edwards, Illinois. We know it's going to be a big hit. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Bob
Bye.
Timmerman joining us. Sounds like a fun place.
Yeah, I got to say out loud, happy Father's Day to you. And it has been fun getting to work with you again for a full week after we had about 3 weeks between my extended vacation.
It's kind of long. I think I need a break.
You do? You ready to go take a little vacation? And
no, it's very nice of you to say thank you. I hope you spoil your husband this weekend.
that is the plan. Carl, you did a great job today. Thank
it was
you
fun
so
being
much.
here with you.
And you guys make sure you stick around. Connor is going to be joining our friend John Carney for the John Carney Show this afternoon. They have a great lineup scheduled for today. And then later on, Connor will be joining Heidi and Bob, filling in for Josh on the Heidi Glaus Show. So keep your dial right here and have an incredible weekend, everybody. Happy Father's Day to all our dad listeners out there. We appreciate you this weekend and every day.